Welcome, everyone. My name is Barrett with the Espresso Outlet YouTube channel, and we've been going out and reaching out to some people just to kind of understand what they're using their coffee equipment for. Today, we have Mike Rubino. He's been a really fun guy to get to know, and we're going to do a quick interview today. He's a coffee roaster, but he does more than just coffee roasting. It's more of his side hobby. So I wanted to introduce Mike Rubino with Prism Coffee. That's PRIZM coffee.com. And we'll put that down in the show link below. And he's also on Instagram and Facebook. So make sure to give him a quick follow and check him out. Also, if this is something that you're really enjoying, we're doing more of these podcasts, getting to know people. I know Dylan's doing some on just more coffee business type stuff. I'm focusing more on like the home users and roasters as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up. I know we already have a couple more lined up. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe. And we'll be back with a lot more just really cool content like this. So just want to introduce today Mike Rubino. I mentioned he's with Prism Coffee. I just want you to tell us about yourself and really how you got into the coffee. Maybe what you do like day to day. I know I was excited when we had our pre-interview about what you did day to day. So there's going to be some really cool stuff there. But just let's get to know you, Mike.
Sure. So I'm here in Los Angeles working as a music composer for a variety of things. A lot of movie trailers, TV shows, video games, theme park work. I just did some stuff at Disneyland. So my day in, day out is writing music, which is really fun. When I had kids, my boys are now 10 and 13. That's when I really kind of started in with the coffee, to be able to work and stay up. And, I was just, I was guzzling coffee with I wasn't a big coffee drinker. I was just guzzling with a lot of cream and sugar and all kinds of stuff just to kind of get it down. And then after a while, it was like a conscious decision to I'm just going to cut the cream and sugar out because I'm not even doing this for taste or because I enjoyed it. I just need some caffeine. And then after doing that for a while, I started to go, wait a second, look, I'm actually enjoying this and I can taste different things in the different coffees. And I suddenly developed a palate for it, almost as an accident, and then just became a total coffee nut.
That's how it goes for a lot of people. They get started, and once they finally get that really good coffee for the first time, they want more of it. I've seen so many people say, "Man, I'm not really a coffee person per se," and I'll make them some coffee. And I've even had people come back wanting more and more. So I totally get that bug. It's fun to get into it, and also it's fun to just get people into it as well that have never experienced it.
Yeah. And also my previous side gig was actually in the wine business. So my folks and my aunt and uncle had a winery up in Central California, and my wife and I were partners with it, but they did all the day-to-day stuff. But I think I had practiced just developing palate, tasting different notes in something. And I found sort of a lot of crossover in learning about enjoying coffee that I did with wine. But the coffee serves me better these days than the wine does. And I met someone who was a home roaster, and I was getting beans from him, and I just couldn't find stuff I enjoyed as well as what he was roasting. And then he went and had a baby, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Hey man, where's my beans?" And he's like,
"How it goes?
Leave me alone, man. I got a baby."
That's how it goes.
Yeah, and so that was the moment when I went, I started looking for beans online and stuff like that. But one day I had accidentally ordered a bag of green beans. I poured them out, and I was like, "Oh no, these are unroasted." And I looked at my wife, and I was like, it takes like a week to get good beans here. I'm like, but Amazon can have a roaster here tomorrow.
Hey, I mean, you can't argue with that. Which roaster did you start off with?
So I started off with a fresh roast,
actually
an SR 500, and then pretty quickly, in the music business, we're all gear nuts. We all love our music equipment, and so I found the same to be true with the coffee. It was pretty immediate. I went, oh wait, there's all kinds of mods you can do, and so I found a guy who's selling an SR 800 with the Razzo chamber and the shaft extension and thermocouples and the whole bit. And I went, yeah, I'm going to grab that. So that's what I spent, a while on just learning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really nice, very common starting setup, and it is something that is just really fantastic to learn on. I learned on the Gene Cafe. It's a little different. It's not the air popcorn, but um, you just kind of learn about what looks right. It's a little bit less predictable, but you do have like those thermocouples in there, and that's really handy if you can get something set up like that. I
Yeah.
see you have upgraded to the Kaleido M10 in the background, so that's looking really fancy there behind you. Um, so you've talked about the wine industry and just like really enjoying like some of the complexities in coffee, and like you can even see I have like a coffee flavor wheel, and that's just very similar in like the wine industry as well. And I think that's really a cool story and comparison. Um, and you mentioned that some of the art and stuff from your wine company you've reused for your coffee brand, which I think is really cool. Wine art labels, I mean, they have full contests, as you well know, about all of
Exactly.
that. Do you have any there? Yeah, I
I
went to
do.
your website and just fantastic labels. I was really impressed with like the labeling on them. And we'll show the website and you can kind of see some of his flagship coffees that he makes. What coffee do you really gravitate towards? We talked about this, and this is something that I can get on board with for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, my personal taste is the medium to lighter roasts, especially the African coffees, the Ethiopian,
Mhm.
Kenyan. I like those fruity floral profiles, the higher elevation stuff. It's just a lot of fun to explore all the subtle flavors you can get out of that stuff. And I one of my favorite coffees now is actually a Dominican, but it's been aged, and
Oh,
so
interesting.
and not that I drink them every day, but I also kind of like the anaerobic and
Mhm.
anaerobic fermentation and some of the kind of funkier things that are fun to try
Sure.
once in a while.
Hmm.
I know that's not the kind of the everyday coffee drinker's stuff, but and that's what's interesting about kind of having a small operation here is finding the people who have similar tastes, because it's not
Yeah.
necessarily your brand new coffee drinker that likes this kind of stuff. And I do have a darker roast that's really low acidity and really smooth that I like to have people try when they're doing French press or pulling espresso shots.
Yeah.
But then I try to kind of like if I give them a bag of that, I'll give them a little sample pack of something else to try to
Something
help
else.
expand and say, hey,
Yeah.
try this.
Gotta get them hooked. Yeah, I really
Exactly.
enjoyed those light, fruitier roasts just personally. I know it's not for everyone. It's like some people may never like it, and some people it might be more of an acquired palate. But once you get that really good, just amazing coffee, and I think that's why a lot of people are into the home roasting. And that was one of the reasons why I got into the home roasting. Now, my town has changed quite a bit since then, where we have quite a few really good roasters now. But in the early days, I just couldn't find what I wanted. I mean, it would be okay. It'd be usually way over roasted. And I feel, I mean, you kind of did the same thing where you got into the coffee roasting just because you can't get what you like. And if you do get what you like, it's really hard to go get it again. Where when you have those variables that you now take into control, I mean, you can't control the green process and the growing process and did they dry it well and correctly, but you are removing a lot of those variables. I think that's why people are really taking off on this home roasting hobby. It can be more than a hobby, like in your instance, but a lot of people, I mean, they're just really enjoying it, and that's what I think is really cool about in the year 2023 how you can have a professional roaster at your house and get some of the best coffee beans that you'll ever probably taste anywhere. And
Exactly.
that's pretty amazing, honestly, to me. So,
Absolutely. And
what's your preferred drink? I mean, I know we're talking about coffee. I think you're more of like the drip than espresso, but tell us about like what drinks. What do you typically use your beans with? What's your day to day?
yeah, and I think liking those light roasts, I'm usually doing pour overs. I do pour over as my go-to drink.
Okay.
And what's funny is I actually drink decaf in the morning. I'm a morning person. I
Yeah.
wake up with a ton of energy, and that's not when I need my caffeine. It's
Not
like
me.
after lunch when I hit the slump.
For
So
sure.
yeah, and then I I pull shots once in a while, but it's more of an occasional thing.
Okay.
And I think I mentioned this to you before, but sometimes a shot's just over too quick. I like to have something to sip
Yeah,
on for a long while.
I totally get that. I mean, it does go very fast with that shot of espresso, especially if you're not putting any milk in it. I mean, that it does really go fast.
Yeah, and I
I
only
like
drink.
to do 50-50 sometimes too, is like a pour over and an espresso. But just curious, like, how do you typically like your coffee? And a lot of those fruitier ones, they can be a little bit more difficult to pull, like an espresso. You get like a lot of the astringencies out of it, where you're getting like that real nice complexity out of like a pour over.
Exactly. And when I drink espresso, I'm usually doing like a cortado, I guess, just with a small amount of milk. I don't want to
Yeah,
cover up the espresso, but and then the pour over stuff, I'm using a Hario and a Chemex on occasion, depending on kind of what I like out of it. I have an AeroPress as well, which I use on occasion, but for the lighter stuff, the Hario seems to do the job really well.
I like the Hario. I got one over here somewhere, and that's kind of my go-to. It's really awesome just to pull a simple conical extraction. I've been getting really into it's the next level brewer. It's a no bypass. It's been really cool. It's very high extraction yield. So I think that might be something that you'd be interested in
Yeah, I haven't tried it.
for something different. Those really complex coffees, they really come through with that. Where on the V60, they're good. Some days I don't want that like over the top. So the V60 is like perfect. And then those other days I'm like looking for something different. And it's been a lot of fun for a pour over. So
Cool. I might have to
so
try
you've
it.
already talked about how you got into the Kaleido. Really, what drew you to the Kaleido after the Smart Roast? You had a pretty cool setup. You had like you probably had the fidgets, at least the temperature probes on that SR 800, 500, and then 800. And really, what drew you over to the Kaleido side? And like, why did you want like the M10? Like that's our big flagship large roaster. I mean, that's a lot to roast. I mean, you are running a business, but I want you to tell us how you kind of ended up there.
Sure. Well, it started because I was giving coffee to friends and family and just saying, "Hey, this is a hobby and I'm having fun." And I started giving a lot of it out, and then it became hard to keep up with. It turns out people in the entertainment industry, burn the midnight oil very often and drink a lot of coffee. And there were guys going, "Dude, sign me up for a subscription. Like, I need this every week." And I was like,
Awesome.
"Okay."
That's
So then I was
awesome.
spending a lot of hours roasting just to, and then people were like, just please let me give you some money for it because I want this every week. And it was almost
Mhm.
like a organically kind of took
Yeah.
off. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, man, I don't want to spend. I have a busy career and I have a family, and
Yeah, for
it's a
sure.
weekend thing. And I'm like, look, I want to be able to roast, a lot quickly, basically, so that if I am giving it out or selling it, then I can just get the job done, within a few hours.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
of course, I was looking at the bullet as well, but I was just looking for one
Yeah.
kilogram roaster, so I could do a couple bags at a time,
Mhm.
And there was a lot of cool things. Actually, it was a friend mentioned the Kaleido, and I had been looking at it, and then he recommended it. He's like, I think these are great machines, and
That's
so I
awesome.
started taking a serious look at it, and it just seems to hit all the right marks. I mean, after roasting on a fresh roast, which was cool. I mean, it was a great way to start, but
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it was kind of like,
Sure.
herding cats sometimes to get things under control.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Like
can be a little
oversteering, the fishtail a little
definitely. That's
bit.
a good way to put it. A lot
Um,
more controllability and repeatability, probably, and just that
exactly.
added um, quantity that you can get out of that larger roaster without it being like insane. You can get these like insane, like 3-5 kilos, and that's a huge investment, and it's hard to learn on. So that's
Exactly.
been
And
my experience. I'm not one to talk for you here,
no, you're right. And also just, at home, just on 120 amp circuit, it's like,
for
it's
sure.
probably about all I can pull out. And no, I mean, the thing is amazing. It's built like a tank. It just feels really responsive. And I just feel like I can, yeah, like you said, repeat. As soon as it became a thing that people were giving money to me for, then I
Yeah,
felt like,
yeah.
of course, I gotta give
It's
them what
worth
they
the
expect.
investment at that point. And you're not having to spend that huge time investment. I was talking to a friend and he does roasting as well. And he goes, he didn't really do it as much of a business. And he goes, is this such a time investment when you're roasting so small? And getting that good size that works for you is pretty good. About how much do you roast a week on the M10? And I know it's going to vary and you're going to have your busy weeks, but just maybe on average, about how many pounds do you put through it a week or how many roasts?
Yeah, I'm probably doing about, at this point, I'm probably doing about less than 10 roasts a week,
Okay.
which is pretty modest. But I wanted to be able to get something that, as this thing is kind of growing quicker than I can control it, that I'm ready to, I'm ready to
Yeah.
handle that. And then there are also, I've been asked to start doing some school charity events and things like that, where I've
Yeah.
got to serve coffee to like hundreds of people. So I just
That's so cool.
needed to know. Yeah, so that there's some weeks where I'm just, I'll just roast a whole big batch, and that might carry me over a week or two.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool. So that's quite a bit of coffee going through that M10. It's probably about, you said maybe 20 bags a week is about like your peak. And you could probably do that in 10 roasts. So, I mean, that's quite a few beans, honestly, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans to expand? I know we kind of talked about this the other day, and you kind of have some fun things coming up. You mentioned like school charities. That's something that I've done where I've roasted for like my kids' teachers and some friends and stuff, and they always really enjoy it. But I think once those other people kind of taste it and catch that bug, it's pretty fun to watch people enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think when you do anything like this as a side business, you have to kind of figure out what your restraints are, and
Yeah.
for me, it's time. So
Yeah.
I think that I've got room to expand. I mean, the thing can roast a lot, and it just can go back to back. It just handles it like a champ. Like I never feel like I'm stressing the thing out. So I think if I was up around 8 to 10 hours a week roasting, which would be that's a lot. That's a lot of beans. But
That's a
I
lot
have
of beans.
that's a lot of beans. But again, this thing is, I mean, that's 8-10 hours a week or something is doable for me at this point.
Yeah.
And I mean, there might be dips or whatever as work
For
is
sure.
busier, but yeah, so there's definitely room for me to sell more beans than I'm selling right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
That's so awesome. So are there any things like when you're running your business that maybe you dread, or maybe some of I'm trying to think of the word that I used the other day, just not even dread, but just some of the issues that running a business, side business. I mean, I think a lot of people, they want to get into something like this if they're doing it more than just a hobby, but maybe a few things that you didn't expect, or maybe you kind of knew they were coming, but it's not as fun. Bagging, stuff like that. Any back end business stuff, anything that you don't like?
See, I think having done the wine
Yeah.
business and being in that industry, there's so much crossover that I haven't been surprised by anything yet. We dealt with packaging and customer service and shipping and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. So, but I can see, and I enjoy all of it. I knew that I enjoyed it, like sort of all the aspects of it. I feel like this, I don't know, maybe I sound a little goody two shoes here, but I feel like I'm enjoying like every minute of it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah, no, it's fun, and it's got to be. I knew what I was getting into, and I knew that I would enjoy it, even if it was a weekend, free time kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But yeah, if you haven't done anything like this before, there's always a million details that you're not going to realize. There's always way more stuff that you're going to have to deal with that you don't think. Yeah. At first I had for the Prism, I kind of went with I wanted something kind of holographic and rainbowy because of the name. And I had these little stickers that you'd use transfer tape and it would come off on the bag, and every single letter was its own sticker. And it looked really cool, and it was really flashy and cool. Yeah. But they didn't stick to the bag, and like after like a couple days, they would start falling off.
Yeah.
And so there was a week or two where I would just like be out somewhere, and someone would say like, dude, this is weird. You have like a shiny R stuck to your elbow. My wife was finding letters in her purse. It was like, so there's always stuff like that.
That's funny.
Like, you're gonna have to deal
There
with.
is a lot of things like that that just people don't realize that it goes into. I think you're lucky that you had a cool brand already and some cool art that you could reuse. Man, that's where I struggle. I love the art and like music, but I was telling you the other day, like I can't play an instrument, I can't sing, I can't do anything like that. So those people that are like really good at creating that stuff, they're gonna enjoy it. But for someone like me, making art or like a package design, it's a struggle for me, you know.
Yeah, it can be. And I mean, this is where the AI stuff is getting pretty wild.
It is
The kind
getting
of
out there, yeah.
yeah. In fact, I mean, I figure if the coffee stuff, it's something to fall back on in case AI starts to write music really well. But I figure I got at least
Hope not.
another 6 months before that happens. So
Yeah, probably. It's getting out of control in such a hurry. I played with some of that. It's pretty wild.
It is. But the till they can roast a great profile or grow some beans, we're safe for a minute, I think here.
I hope. They're getting smarter with some of these roasters too. They're getting to that where it just really automatically knows. It's pretty weird stuff. It's kind of like the decent of espresso machines. They're trying to make roasters that way too, which it takes some of the skill out of it, but I think that's where the world is going, is having it at your house. There's going to be people that could care less about roasting, but I do know that there's a lot of people, they want that on the counter, just like a air fryer. They just want to make fresh beans, and I think we'll get there eventually. But in the meantime, there's like some really cool stuff. Like I said earlier, I feel like the coffee roasting, home roasting industry is really starting to take off. And you're kind of more of a macro roaster, and doing those 20 bags a week, you'd be shocked how many people are starting to do this. And it's really taken off just because the technology is finally there of how you can have just an awesome roast in your garage. Couldn't do that 10 years ago without spending $5,000-$10,000.
Right.
So it's pretty exciting times.
Yeah, it is. And as automated as things might get, there's still a fun factor. I mean, that's why we do it, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, we got microwaves, but to make something from scratch in your kitchen, it's still fun. And if you enjoy that as a hobby, then you do it, So I think there may be stuff, especially maybe in the commercial world, where things get automated, but for us home roasters, it's fun. And I think we'll let go of that too easily. It's just a different market segment than the person who just wants something on their counter so they have something really fresh.
So I guess one last question: where do you source your beans from?
That's been fun. There's I mean, I've had some nice things from Sweet Maria's, but I also kind of feel like everyone goes there. So I want to find
I feel the same.
Your coffees.
Yeah.
I've been getting some stuff from Cafe Creole, which has been great. They have some cool selections.
Okay.
There's been some good things from Happy Mug that have been nice that I've enjoyed. But I'm just now kind of getting into finding, some of the more obscure stuff, and maybe even some of I'm trying to figure out if there's ways to work, directly with some of the growers, which I know is hard because of the import stuff. But I mean, to me, so much of the fun of this is exploring and finding something really cool and unique and awesome that I love, and being able to share that with everybody. So and then figuring out how to roast it properly and get the best out of it. So
do you try
that's
a lot
process.
of samples? Do you try a lot of samples?
Yes. Yeah. Every week I've got samples coming in, and
awesome.
some I taste and I go, well, it doesn't matter how well I roast this or how I change the profile. This is just
not going to change.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then there was one that I dismissed, and then I don't know. One of the downsides is I feel like at home I'm not drinking all the best stuff that I love. I'm drinking all the leftover samples, so they don't go to waste.
Kind of what I do.
But I brewed one up the other day, and I went, oh my God, like maybe it needed another week to open up or something. I don't know, but it was like a whole different ballgame. And I was like, now I just went out and I ordered a whole bunch of it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
got the new bean coming to the website soon.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I'm still trying to. I mean, I like the light roasts and the the fruity stuff. But again, I have a lot of friends that are newer coffee drinkers or just want something a little more tame or a little more roasted. So I'm trying to find that balance of like finding something that's friendly to them but can expand their palate a little bit, still has a little more interest going on. So that's also an exciting thing to do, is to just try and figure out what people might respond to.
I appreciate people that try a lot of stuff, because I feel like so many people, they go find their two things that's good and they'll roast it and roast it and roast it. And this goes with all industries too. And as soon as, I mean, this is a crop. It changes from year to year. It's like wine. It changes from year to year. The 2018 whatever is absolutely fantastic, and then next year it's terrible. Like, I'm a huge Ethiopian fan, natural Ethiopian fan, and I haven't had a good Ethiopian in a year or two, personally. I won't say yours is bad. The green that I've bought has not been like the Ethiopians that I was just absolutely in love with a couple years ago. And it's a crop.
Yeah. Agreed.
So being really open-minded to trying new stuff, I think that's huge for people, at least starting out, because you might not even know what you like. Like you said, you'd never had any of those funky coffees in those early days, and none of the fruitier coffees. I mean, most people, they go, it's some Folgers or Folgers-esque type coffee, and they think that's what coffee is. It's like, no, like, let's open up your palate a little bit. Even if it's like a dark roasted like Mexico, maybe it's like a honey process or something that it has so much more complexity to it than just some stinky, we won't put Folgers down, but some stinky grocery store coffee bean that I think everyone has just become so accustomed to.
Exactly. I'm always sending out, like I said, little sample packs with each order.
The way to do it. It's the way to do it. I think a lot of places, and I told you this the other day too, a lot of people, they kind of get like narrow-minded on what they think is the best, and getting that feedback from people. I have a friend in town that he's a coffee roaster, and I said, this is your espresso bean. Just trust me. And he started giving out a couple pounds to the places that he distributed to. Like 100% of the people are like, this is the new espresso bean. Don't ever bring that other bean back. And it's interesting how just even different people's perception is something that's valuable. As you're sending out those samples, they don't know that they like it until they try it, and now all of a sudden that's like the new thing that they really want, and they're going to buy that next week.
Exactly.
So we're going to put it down in the show notes below. You can find them at www.prismcoffee.com. And you can find them on Instagram and Facebook as well. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add today, Mike, but we really appreciate you being on. And we hope to do maybe some follow-up episodes as you grow your business. And just had a lot of fun today, personally, getting to know you and talking coffee. And this is what we do. I'm a bit dry, but I love talking to people and getting to know how coffee affects them in their life. I mean, it's a necessity. It's a huge part of my life for me. Seeing other people with that same passion is a lot of fun to speak with.
Absolutely. And, we'll talk a year from now. I'll have like a 15-kilogram machine behind me.
That's totally cool. That's totally cool. I hope so. I really hope so.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been fun.
I appreciate you being on. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe below. We'll have more people like Mike in the future. But for today, thanks for watching.
Thank you.